Hello and welcome to day 3 of National Apprenticeship Week, Apprentice Nation into the booth. Today we are here to demystify well-being and share support and guidance as we all work out this thing called life, even if from a distance, over the next hour. Now, we totally appreciate that the subject of well-being is personal, so we want to give you the opportunity to reflect and listen to the experiences and advice from some of our wonderful guests today, as well as get involved. So gather round, take your notes, share your thoughts and questions in the chat, and get your questions answered. Because whatever you may personally be going through, we want you to remember that you are not alone and we are here for each other. Now, today we have an amazing panel. Let me introduce you to them all. First of all, Jonas, please come introduce yourself to us. Tell us your name and where you hail from and why you decided to join the panel today.
Yeah, so thank you, Hannah. And before I get started, thank you, Apprentice Nation, for this golden opportunity too. So my name is Jonas Andrew Phillip. I'm a 19-year-old public speaker, workshop facilitator, and entrepreneur. And I come from Lewisham, Southeast London. Some of you will know Lewisham. I think it's a very nice area. Other people have other things to say, but we're not going to get into that today. And yeah, I joined the panel because I feel that if I can tell my story, even if I can impact one life, I'm doing someone service, because I feel that you need to pay forward things in life. And I got through my mental health challenges growing up. So if I can help someone else do the same, then I'm very happy and very grateful for that. So thank you for the opportunity, and hopefully you guys enjoy what all the amazing panelists have to say today.
Thank you so much, Jonas. That is definitely happening tonight. Ayla, could you come on and tell us your name, your role, and why you decided to join the panel today?
Hi. Hello, everybody. My name is Ayla. I'm a systemic therapist in child and young people's service in the mental health support team as part of Mind. I'm really excited to be here today. I'm logging in from central London and I'm really excited because I think it's really important to break the stigma and just remember that we're all here together, and it's very important to try to get support when you need to get support. So I'm more than happy to talk about some of my experiences, be able to answer some of the questions, and yeah, let's try to break the stigma together. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, we are here to do that. Thank you so much, Ayla. Next, could we have Eva? Could you introduce yourself, tell us where you hail from, what you're up to, and what brings you here today?
Hi everyone, I'm Eva. I'm a 17-year-old A-level student, and I'm actually currently studying English literature, Spanish and French. I'm from Hertfordshire, which is just a little bit outside London. The reason why I decided to be on this panel today is because I have struggled with my well-being, but I've managed to get through it. But there are some things that I would have done differently. So if there are things I hopefully want people to take some stuff out of what I've learned and be able to share my experience to help others as well. But I really hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get something out of it as well.
Next, could we last but not least hear from Ifalase? Please tell us your role and what brings you here today.
Hi Hannah, thank you. So my name's Ifalase and I'm a leadership coach for Multiverse. And what brought me here today was that I suffered and do suffer from anxiety and have done, I guess, since I was about 16. And I only realized that that's what it was a couple of years ago. So I was self-managing, and through that journey, I gained lots of tools and tips to help me through it. So I would love to just share that with anyone experiencing any kind of issues with their well-being, and especially now that we're all inside. I'm in my kitchen and I am in Haringey in North London, so just below Eva, and nice to see you all.
Thank you so much, Eva. Thank you so much, Ifalase. Now, there is so much going on in the world today. I'm sure everyone has seen the news. There is so much going on. And as individuals, we are all affected in different ways. Many young people are personally affected by the social, economic, political, and digital changes to our lives. So here are the most recent statistics provided by Young Minds and the government. Emotional well-being of children and young people is just as important as physical health. That's so important to remember. 1 in 4 young people experience depression, anxiety, or substance misuse in an average year. And have a read of all of those stats on the screen. But it's really important to remember that you mustn't give up. If you're worried about something, regardless of how big or small, you're not alone. You're not alone. So don't give up. You are not alone. And also, you matter. There's no other way of putting it. Every single person matters. In fact, why don't we tell each other we all matter in the chat right now? You matter. So yeah, don't give up if, let's say, you're worried about school, or you're suffering from grief, or you might be feeling a bit of anxiety at the moment. Don't give up. And if you're experiencing depression or panic attacks or any of these things on the screen, I promise you're not alone. Those stats showed us that you're not alone. And if you're human, and if you're here, and if you're in this world right now, that's enough to matter. We all really, really matter. And it matters to be able to learn and grow and feel good and feel loved. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about well-being. So lock in. What about well-being needs demystifying for you? Be honest, be open. If you're wondering about something, then ask the question. Put it in the chat, because I guarantee you that someone else is thinking the same. And that will mean that by the end of this Into the Booth, we'll all leave the booth having learned at least one new thing, or feeling inspired, or having made someone else in the booth feel really good. And well-being will be a little less mystifying for us all. So let's begin with the questions. I've got a few questions to start off with. We're going to start with you, Jonas. Please do come and share with us your story and what you have learned along the way.
Cool. So for me, I think my journey with my mental health began way before I even knew. To be honest, it really kicked in properly, and I understood what was going on after I was in a car accident when I was hit by a car when I was 13. But prior to this, there were situations in my primary school, because when I was young, I just automatically didn't have a father in my life immediately. So my mom did her best to ensure that I had good education and everything else that a young black boy needs in growing up in the UK. So I was going to school, getting top grades in top set. And then there was a teacher I had in year 2 who really, really put me off school, and really, I feel, treated me in a way where it wasn't quite fair and wasn't nice. So then my grades just started to drop slowly and slowly and slowly until I was in bottom set by the time I got to year 8, year 9. And during that in primary school, the school labeled me as a kid with anger issues. I don't know if they said I was autistic or something with an A, they said. And they put me on the SEM register, and they tried to send me to pupil referral units and all of this stuff like that. along with that, I was bullied for being dark skinned, having I got beaten up one time because of people in my year group. I wasn't even involved in the situation, and I got bullied for that by people in my year after me getting beaten up stopped them from getting beaten up. And just growing up, not having a lot of money and everyone else mocking me for that, loads of stuff, it affected me, but it didn't hurt me that badly. But then when I got hit by a car and it continued, and then even teachers in my schools and people's parents used to say, don't hang out with Jonas, he's going to be dead or in jail, Teachers wouldn't help me with my grades. They wouldn't help me when I told them, look, I'm getting in trouble in school, but I'm getting bullied. All this stuff like that all the time. It just felt like everywhere was toxic for me. But when I got to year 9, my mom sent me to mentoring, and I got mentored by a man called Gordon Greer. And he really helped me understand how I need to conduct myself to get through my secondary school life and through my mental health challenges. I also got referred to have therapy with a teacher who everybody hated in my school, but I actually liked. He was very strict, but he said, try to see what's up with Jonas, because he's not just a bad kid, something's really up in his head. And he was correct. And also with that, also playing sports as well. If I didn't play basketball with the only one friend I had at that time, his name's Jarika, probably didn't like me saying that, but I'm going to say it regardless because he's a legend big him up. He's a legend. He didn't even go to my school, but we used to play basketball every Saturday and doing stuff like that. Yes, the 5 days in the week were tough, and sometimes I would just bunk school because I was like, I don't want to go in and get bullied by everybody, including teachers. So doing that on the weekend was good. Having my mentoring and therapy was good too for me. And now, as we can see, I'm in a much better place, and I'm very grateful for the journey I've been on. And what I learned is that, yes, life will be tough, but at the end of the day, it's making you stronger, because now I've got really thick skin. And because I've gone through the times where I've been like, that's not fair, this is that, this is this, and I've gone through the whole victim complex thing already in my life, I don't have it anymore. I don't make excuses, and I just say, what can I do to make a positive impact on this planet while I'm here? What can I offer the world, not what can the world offer me? Because if I don't leave this world and help at least one person, then in my eyes, I failed whoever and everybody. So that's what I learned through my journey.
Well, wow. Jonas, thank you so much for sharing so openly, so honestly. I'm kind of hoping that some of those teachers or people who didn't see it in you come across you one day. Maybe some of them have already, because I think they'd be pretty impressed. Ayla, over to you. What are your thoughts on Jonas's story, and what would you suggest to someone who is going through a similar kind of situation to the story that Jonas shared?
First of all, Jonas, wow, honestly, I agree. I think well done for being able to shift that focus and come here and be so open and honest in talking about some of your challenges through your life and how they have made you more resilient as a consequence. I think bullying is really difficult. It's a big issue that unfortunately affects many people in the world. And we're not just talking about children and young people, we're talking about adults as well within workplaces. You know, it's a national issue, and it's really difficult. The challenges as well of us becoming more or kind of using technology more, it also means that bullying has gone from not only being physical and verbal to now cyberbullying, which means that it doesn't just end at school or workplace or college. It can just continue on and take you home. There's never a way of switching off, never a way of trying to protect yourself. So for anybody who's struggling with bullying or anything like that, I would definitely recommend to go on the National Bullying Helpline. So it's just nationalbullyinghelpline.co.uk, and they give you much more information. There's practical advice about what to do, such as, you know, trying to avoid the bully, especially if you're alone, trying to be brave and not react to the bully. And most importantly, just trying to get help, especially if you are at risk. It's very important to remember that you're not alone. That doesn't matter how what others may say, you know, you are not at fault. it's someone else taking out their anger on you. So it's really important to try to be safe and try to get support from someone else. Jonas, I think it's fantastic the way that you said that, you were able to be open about it. So then you were able to get support through therapy and through mentoring. And that is something that I would definitely recommend as well for anybody, to try to speak to someone, to try to get to a therapist if you can, because the main thing here is to try to change your frame of mind and the way you look at it, so that you can become more resilient as a consequence. It's really difficult because these, especially from bullying, you can internalize these comments and they can then become part of your inner critic. So then anywhere you go to in life, you can just keep on hearing the same kind of comments, the same degrading things that can really let you down. So it's good to just nip it in the bud, try to speak to a professional, learn some coping strategies and some techniques to try to deal with some of those anxieties or some of those inner voices that might be coming up as a result of the bullying. And so that then you can become, you can stand up against it. So well done, Jonas, and well done for being brave, for sharing your story. I think you're a fantastic example of somebody who's had it really, really tough, but you went, you know what, I am in charge of this. I have the power. So honestly, just well done. Very proud of you.
I completely agree. You are such an impressive young person. And thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, Ayla, for your insights there as well. Eva, we would love to hear from you next. Please come on and please do share your story of your experiences with the pressures of social media.
All right, so ever since I can remember, I've grown up with social media. I think it's just one of these things now, the 21st century, being in the modern age, the technology babies, I like to call it. And I've grown up with social media since probably about year 6, even when I probably wasn't even old enough to have an account. But it's obviously one of those things that came around as everyone was like, oh, you've got to get Instagram, it's so cool, share it with your friends and everything. So I was susceptible to that peer pressure and that wanting to fit in and everything. And I got Instagram, was probably about year 6 time. But then I increasingly got addicted to it. It's just a very addictive thing. Social media as a whole, not just Instagram, the app, but social media as a whole, especially if you don't know how to properly control yourself and restrict yourself and give yourself proper times to breathe and be yourself, which is something I didn't quite know at the time. I was constantly on it, wanting to watch the latest video, wanting to post every single photo and wanting to follow every single person and get all these followers back. It got to a point where that's when the Instagram models and the people who were modeling came onto Instagram, and me being a 12, 13-year-old girl, I still wasn't aware that I didn't have to look up to these people, but I still was. And I kept comparing myself to those people. And it became I had very toxic thoughts about my own self, to the point where I was losing confidence in my own ability and my own appearance and all those sort of things that aren't very good for our well-being. It impacted the way that I saw myself and the way that I interacted with others, because I didn't really want to be next to somebody else who I thought was much more prettier than me or who was smarter than me. I just thought I had this toxic mentality and thinking, if I go and stand next to this person, maybe then I would be seen as better than them because I don't think that they're very good or whatever. And it was a very rude and toxic mentality to have. I would say that it really took a while for me to fully learn how to break out of that mentality, to break out of that cycle, to break out of that constant comparison with other people. And that came from when I was willing to actually put my life on social media on hold and just leave it alone and say enough is enough. I was very thankful that I didn't have to go through this alone, which I think is a very important thing. You should never have to deal with anything with this alone. And you have to be very honest with yourself as well about it. You have to take a step back and think, is what I'm doing good for me and for other people? But most importantly, yourself. Do you want to look back on this in 5 years' time and think, I was doing okay in that time? Was I saying the right things to people? Was I being nice? Was I being hurtful? Because nobody wants to be remembered for how rude or hurtful their comments were or anything like that. So right now I'm doing better than ever. And if you look on, I don't know if you guys know about the screen time thing. My screen time, if it existed in the time, would have been through the roof. Like, I can't even explain it. But right now it's like maybe like 1 or 2 hours, which is good for me because I don't like being on my phone as much as I used to anymore. It's maybe kind of like a hobby, if you get it. So I think it's a really important thing to like distance yourself from the social world, because that's not your real world. At the end of the day, that's not going to last forever. It's not going to be there it's going to be there forever, but it's not going to be there forever for you. You need to find yourself in the real world, not the virtual that you think you have.
You share such wise words, Eva. And have a look at the chat for the little celebration when you said my screen time is now down at 1 to 2 hours per day. I feel like that is such a goal for so many people right now. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Ifalase, please could you come on the line? What are your thoughts about the story that Eva has shared with us, and what would you suggest to someone going through similar pressures from social media?
Yeah, thank you, Eva. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so inspired by the way that you noticed that that's not who you wanted to be. And I remember someone once said to me, it's not how you fall, it's how you pick yourself up. And you were just like, this is not who I want to be. I want to be better to myself. I want to be kinder to myself. I want to be kinder to other people. So just like, well done for sharing that story, because I know that when you share that, it helps other people, because they can hear, oh, okay, my mind does this, and my mind's pretty mean to myself as well, which is so natural. And the fact that your screen time is down to 2 hours is incredible. So just well done for that. So yeah, just amazing. I think what got to me was just the fact that you said to reach out to other people. So I know that when I experienced anxiety, I didn't realize it at the time, but I had a friend who experienced anxiety as well. And we didn't realize what we were going through was quite as extreme as it was, but we had each other, and to us, we made sense. So just reach out to someone. I think Jonas said it as well. There was a teacher there that you didn't like, and not everyone else liked, but you did. Like, just reach out to someone that gets it, whether that's, online, with Mind, just talk, share it with other people. So I know that whenever anyone came to me and kind of said to me, what's up, like what's going on, I actually really appreciated that. And I know that was really hard for someone to just check in with me. And just, I think that it's pretty normal to have negative thoughts. Like, we have like more than 17,000 thoughts a day, most of which are negative. It's pretty traumatic, but some of those things are just going on inside of our heads. Media is there to kind of make us buy things and make us do things, and they can mold us and do what they will with us when we're unhappy. So it's out there to try and get you to be as addicted as possible. I know that social media's biggest competitor is sleep. So, if you find yourself addictive, that's normal. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep you there. But unfortunately, it does have this impact on ourselves. So my gift, or one thing that I would have wanted to hear when I was younger, would be, notice what makes you happy and notice what makes you sad. So if you feel a little bit bad after you've been scrolling through Instagram, or if you notice that you feel a little bit happy when you go out for a walk, just start doing less or more of those things. Because it's all those little things, all those little bits about yourself that you start, that's useful information. So, just notice what's good for you and keep doing those things.
That is such a brilliant lesson. I think we can all begin that this weekend. Like, whatever you do this weekend, ask yourself, like, how did that make me feel? And if it made you feel good, do a bit more of it. If not, a bit less, a bit of a step back. Thank you so much, Jonas and Eva, for sharing both of your stories so openly, so honestly. It means so much, I think, for everyone to hear such openness from both of you. And thank you, Ayla and Ifalase, for your advice for anyone going through anything similar. We've now got a few questions from each of you. Ayla, back to you. Do you think that people who've been struggling more than usual, do you think that people have been struggling more than usual with their mental health over COVID? And what would you recommend to someone struggling in silence?
Yeah, I definitely think that the living through the pandemic during the current times is such a big challenge for so many people, definitely. And, you know, working in a mental health support team, we've definitely noticed an increase in referrals. So more and more people asking for help because people were put in a place where all of their coping strategies that would be working for them usually were out of the window. For anybody who might be struggling with you know, low mood and depending on connecting with others as a way of support, suddenly that was all taken out because you're now isolated. You have to ensure that, you know, you're staying safe, following governmental guidelines. And that in turn has caused inner turmoil and caused so many challenges for people to be in a place where you start wondering, oh, what should I do? How can I go through this? What is going on? Lots of people struggling with anxiety as well. So I definitely, you know, as a service as well, we've definitely noticed more and more people reaching out for help. And this is something that I would definitely recommend. If you feel like you are struggling, but you feel like speaking to anybody might put pressure on them, you feel like you don't know what to do, you're not alone. Everybody's struggling. We're living in a very, very, very difficult time right now. So please, 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 if you can, just reach out, speak to someone. You'd be surprised to find just how many people feel exactly like you know, might be going through these really difficult challenges. If you're under 18, you can get some support by speaking to well, you can get support through your school. So, for example, our team works in 33 schools in Westminster. And I know that there are other trailblazer and mental health support teams in other schools outside of Westminster as well. So you can speak to your school, let somebody know, and you might get referred for some support in a team similar to the one that I work in. Or alternatively, you can speak to your GP and get a referral put through to CAMS. If you're over 18, you can self-refer to IAPT, which is a service that will be providing support for many, many difficulties, including low mood, depression, anxiety, which is very, very common. And as well as that, there's so many other resources that you can access. So for example, there are mental health charities, and through the NHS website, you can get a whole list of charities that are available, not just in Westminster, but nationwide. And provide you with an info line. So I'm happy to post it in the chat. We're open Monday to Friday, 9 to 4, apart from Wednesdays. So if you're not sure who to contact, you can just telephone that number, and a member of, you know, a colleague of mine is going to put you in touch with it or let you know of any services that might be of help. So just main thing, reach out, please.
Yeah, key message there. That first conversation can be the turning point. It really can. And we've got some information at the end of the hour to direct you to where to go have that first conversation. Eva, let's bring you back on. I've got a question for you. Looking back on your situation, your story that you told us about, what do you wish you did differently if you could go back in time?
If there's one thing I would do differently, I would probably train myself on how to step back more, and not listen to other people a lot. And I would have probably built up my confidence more and not cared what comments were saying or other people were saying or how other people look. It's so easy to be drawn in to what other people are doing and what other people think are acceptable and what other people think you should be wearing or looking like or what music you should be listening to, etc., etc. But if you're following along with them, you're not really taking the time to think about what you think is right for you. And I think that's something I would have loved to learn properly myself, what I actually like, what I actually think is right and what's wrong, what I want to wear, what I feel I should look like, etc. I think that if you know all these things about yourself, I think that would have helped me to build my confidence a lot more earlier on. I still am building my confidence. I am more confident than I was before, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we have to gradually get there. Yeah, that's what I would have.
I think that is so important to hear. Like, this is all a journey. There's no magic involved. It's literally going out, doing things that you enjoy, that make you happy, surrounding yourself with the right people, and as you said, learning what you like and what you don't like, and you learn that in the real world, not on social media or on a screen. Thank you so much, Eva. Next, Ifalase, I've got a question for you. What would be your advice to help people manage the possible impacts of social media? I sometimes wonder, like, do I wish I was born born in a world where social media didn't exist? What do people think? But yeah, Ifalase, if you could answer that question, what would be your advice to help people manage the impact of social media?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So I was born afterwards. I didn't say, but I'm 34, and I was not born afterwards, not that late. But social media didn't come in until university, and I remember I wasn't even allowed to join because my uni wasn't good enough yet at that point. So we're already starting on the back foot. But managing social media, I actually deleted the apps off my phone. That's how I managed it. It became too easy to go on there. So anyone who's got Netflix or has bought anything from Amazon, sorry, I have, but you know, they make it so easy for you to stay on their sites. They make it really, you know, you're just sitting there watching that next program, that next episode load. And they know that because you're just like, oh, well, why not? Do you remember when you used to have to get up and put the DVD in? Like, you'd have to go and find something to watch. And, you know, like, so remove that ease, like remove the easiness of being on social media if it's something that affects you badly. So delete the apps. So I have to search for it in my, you know, browser every time. I have to put my password in. There's enough annoying things there that by the time I go onto it, it's just been made too difficult. So I'd say put blockers in the way of things you don't want to do. So yeah, Davina's saying that she deleted some of the social apps. That's great. And also think about what's your purpose for being on there. Like, because I find I'll just like quickly tap in that F and I'll be like, what am I doing? Or, what am I doing? What do I want? What do I want to see from this site? So like, what am I going there for? I'm very easily distracted. So yeah, like think of your purpose when you do go on there and just make it a bit less easy to go on.
Thanks for such practical advice. That is something that we can all do after this conversation. Next, Jonas, please come back on the line. I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
When you were going through school, were you aware of support groups available to you? And if you were, but like until you did reach out for help, what were your like hesitations? What were the barriers?
To be honest, when I actually fully, when I feel that the catalyst actually began, which is obviously, as I said, when I got hit by a car and nearly died, I think I just generally didn't know what was going on. In my head, obviously, there was stuff going on, and I was like, my head's not like it used to be. I know stuff's always been happening to me. I've always been getting picked on and everything like that, and all this stuff's always been going on, but my head just doesn't feel, it's like, I kind of put, what I did was actually, because I remember this really well, I used to kind of segment my life from prior getting hit by a car to after getting hit by a car. I did that for like 6 months, and when I got to the end, I stopped doing it. But I had no idea what I was going through, so I was just like, I'm just going to continue living my life. I was like 13, I was like, don't know what's going on. I just went along with life as it normally, because I didn't know that something was seriously up. I was just like, okay, this is happening, or whatever. Maybe hormones, because that's another thing a lot of people say. They say young people, when it's mental health, it's just hormones, when it's really not. And that's why so many young people suffer, unfortunately. But no, I had no idea about any other support groups, and I didn't even think of it. I'm lucky that my teacher and my mom put me in contact, because if not, then I may not be this Jonas sitting in front of you today in a whole suit and everything.
I think that's so important. Am I echoing? Am I good? I think that's so important for people to hear. But like, you can feel like you're surrounded by people who are just all going against you, but it can take just one or two people that really get you to help turn things around. And again, like we were saying before, you're not alone. You are not alone, and you don't have to go through anxieties or mental health issues or bullying or anything alone. You're not a superhero for getting through it alone, because no one does. Everyone has someone out there, and it all begins with realizing and talking. Ayla, a question for you. What would you recommend to someone who is at risk to themselves? So perhaps dealing with really difficult situations of self-harm, for example.
I think anybody who self-harms are doing their best to try to cope with those really difficult feelings. So it's just what they know, and so what might happen is that the things might pile up inside. You wouldn't really know what to do, and it's just a release. It's a way of trying to manage. So one of the main things in the work that I've been doing with clients, and what we recommend for others to continue doing, is to try to change some of those strategies to less harmful ones. So it's discovering coping strategies that work for you, and personally work for you, and creating almost a plan that you can turn to. So when things do get tough, and when you're in that place where you're like, nothing is working, what should I do? And you're more likely to self-harm, you can then turn to less harmful strategies. And at first it might be like, well, what is there to help me? I don't know. But over time, it's getting yourself to think about, okay, well, when I feel bad, what makes me feel better? It could be anything as small as, a hug from your mom, calling your best friend, listening to your favorite music, walking your dog. Could be absolutely anything. So what we usually do is we encourage you to try to think about those things that actually make you feel better. As well as that, there are other strategies that you can turn to, which we call sensory strategies. So using 5 of your senses and trying to activate them to try to break that thinking and that low space that you're in. So again, for example, for hearing, you can be listening to music, you can be listening. There are lots of apps that can help you listen to other sounds, like rain sounds, fire crackling, anything that can be quite soothing. Then you can use, for smell, you can use lavender oil, any kind of special oils, you know, taste, again, herbal teas. For the watching, you can watch a film or try to draw something, and lots of sensory ones as well. Those that are really, really successful, or have been for many people, is holding ice. That can be very, because it gives you that sharp feeling, and it can take away, and it doesn't leave you with a scar. So there are very many, but the main thing that we would encourage you to do is just to speak to professionals and reach out. There are lots of brilliant charities as well, such as Samaritans, who would be able to give you advice and be able to properly talk you through. And over time as well, recognizing your triggers. So figuring out, you know, what makes me feel bad? What is it, as you were talking about earlier about apps and everything, you know, what is it that makes me feel worse? When are the times that I might be reaching out to try to self-harm? So over time, you can try to avoid that. And that's what's really important as well. But if you are at risk for yourself, definitely please reach out, contact Samaritans, and get the support that you need.
Thank you, Ayla. We're now going to move over to the questions from you in the audience. So first up, we have, let's see, a question from Simran. This is a brilliant question. Thanks so much for asking it. Do you have, and let's direct this at Ifalase, do you have any advice on how someone can build their confidence again?
Oh, that's a really good one. And I like to think of confidence as like a set of stairs. I feel like whenever something new comes up that you haven't done before, you've got to build your confidence up in that one section. So you go up a set of stairs and then you're like, oh, there's this other new thing that I don't know how to do. So you've got to go up another another step. So I would find something that you feel that you could be good at, or that you might enjoy, or that just brings you a bit of positivity. And I would spend as much of your time doing those nice things as possible. And maybe you might find something that you can, you know, build a bit of confidence in. So it might be, maybe you might be a hidden tennis star or something. Like, you just don't know all the skills that you might have all sitting inside of you. The world's all there for you. And I know we're saying come off of social media, and I do believe that, but one place I do have, and it's terrible for me to advertise it, I feel like I've learned so much from YouTube. I feel like it's taught me a lot. So if you're trying to look into a new skill, or you're not sure if you have a mental health issue or whatever, like, just, if you can't reach out, search for it, because someone else has been through it. There'll be other people posting, and that's a great way to build new skills. So I think actually that's probably what gave me the help that I needed. I found lots of alternative ways to deal with my anxiety through there. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Why don't we all pop in the chat, share with each other what gives you confidence or what makes you feel good, and maybe someone else will get an idea for something nice that they can do to make themselves feel good this weekend. Next, a question from Hala, and this is for Jonas. And I'm going to read it exactly as you've written it, because you've written it so well. Jonas, when you got hit by a car, what was the point where you were like, you know what, I've got to do something, like put a stop to the bullying and everything? What was that point when you realized, and what exactly did you realize?
So I was always in the mentality of I have to stop the bullying, but because obviously in school teachers have the power, it didn't stop at all. It had to take for us to grow up all the way to year 11 for people to stop. And obviously when the new head teacher that we had in my school came, me and him got on really well. So he was able to be my backup in situations. But something that did click in my head when I did get hit by a car, because the way the situation unfolded was that we were on the bus, and my stop is the stop before the center of my borough. So I was meant to get off, but me and my friend were having a little cuss battle, having banter. And then one of the guys there who we weren't really friends, he wasn't really nice to me, but he said, "Oh, Jonas, just stay one stop." So I was like, "Oh, it's one stop. It's one stop. Like, it's not gonna kill me." Well, it nearly did. And I stayed on, and then obviously went across the road. To be fair, it was my fault. It was my fault that I got hit. I can't lie. I'm not gonna be here saying that I'm the victim. I'm really not. It was both of us, but more my fault. So I got hit, and they left. They didn't even stay to see if I was alive. I was knocked out, cold, and they didn't stay. So I thought in my head, when I'm down and out in situations, am I around the right people currently that will be there to fight my corner? Am I around those people? Because these are the same guys that cuss me all the time, cuss me for being dark skinned and everything, when these are the black people themselves. These guys aren't the people I need to be surrounded with myself with. And that's why in year 9, I just didn't talk to anyone in my school, because there was nobody I could trust until I met people who I'm close with right now. Alpha, shout out to him, Carl, George. Those are the people that I met, yeah. I keep shouting people out because I got so much love for them. But those are the people in my school who I became friends with in those times. And Carl, actually, me and him became friends. It was a funny story. I'm not going to share it, but it's a really funny story and he knows. So, yeah.
I wish we had time, but...
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I really thought in my head. I thought, also because as Jim Rohn said, the law of association, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if I'm hanging around with people that don't care about their future, I'll be the 6th person. Yeah, my friends weren't my friends, 100%. So if I want to be around people that are changing the world for the better, then I will be that. So that's why I said to myself, so I had to make that decision. It was hard at first because I had no friends for a while, but when I got to year 10 and 11, and even now, best decision of my life. So I'm grateful for that.
Oh, I want to meet all of your friends, Jonas. They sound so brilliant. And what a moment in your life to be, yeah, the way you've described that there, lying on the floor. That's not a moment that many people have, and it's not a moment that anyone wishes for. But how great that the switch happened, and that you're here and just like sharing all the love, all the advice. Thank you so much. And lastly, one more question. Oh, admin, please help me. My questions have disappeared. There we go. Lastly, thank you so much, Tim. Some people, and let's direct this at Ayla. Some people try to cope with their challenges by using any like coping mechanisms that can help them feel better, such as drinking or drugs. What advice would you give to people? Hi, Ayla. What advice would you give to people experiencing substance misuse or addiction, that kind of thing?
I think that that's very similar to the thing that I was talking about earlier about self-harm. So that is something that people might turn to when they're really, really in need, you know, that filling in that void, and drinking, using substances to try to feel something different, either numb out difficult feelings or try to manage the best that they can some of those difficult feelings, with means that they can. What I would definitely recommend is, again, to reach out. You don't want to be going down that path where you feel like you lose control, and also it's very, very dangerous. I mean, Frank is a brilliant website to check out to try to get more information about some of the illegal substances. But it's very dangerous because you don't know whether or not you're predisposed to develop mental health difficulties. You don't know whether or not there is mental illness in your family. And so any kind of drugs might trigger a really bad reaction. You know, you might get psychosis just after having a joint, and you wouldn't really know, because for you that could be just something that you might do because your friends are doing it. So just be very, very careful, and please, again, just reach out. I talked about some of the services earlier on, but again, if you're under 18, either talk to a mental health leader at your school, or speak to your GP, get referred to CAMS, or there's a whole list of mental health charities and organizations on the NHS website. And if you're over 18, speak to your GP to get referred to the correct services, and get the support that you need, because there's nothing wrong with getting help. Thanks.
Thank you, Ayla. Thank you everyone on the panel tonight for sharing so honestly. A theme that like runs across everything that everyone's been talking about is that you matter, you are not alone, and it all begins with talking, reaching out, and we want you to feel your best self and live your best life, because that's how you thrive, that's how you achieve the things you want to achieve. And here's a quote that kind of really simplifies well-being down to what it really is. It's good mental health that means that you're feeling positive about yourself. That's it. Being able to cope with life and the challenges it brings, because it brings up challenges, as we all know, and being able to form and keep really great relationships that make you happy, and that you get a lot out of. So thank you so much for attending this Into the Booth, everyone. For panelists for being so open and honest, but also in the chat, all of everyone who's joined us for being open and honest and sharing as well. Regardless of what you're going through, I'll say it again, you are not alone. If you would like some extra support or to know more, have a look at our short sets, What is Resilience, Unlocking Tension, Stepping Out of Your Comfort Zone, in the Training Hub on the Apprentice Nation website. You can also sign up for some one-to-one mentor sessions with industry leaders for a really inspiring 30 minutes to really boost your mood and boost your week. If you have, thank you. And lastly, we've got loads coming up in spring. So keep your eyes peeled. If you're not on the newsletter already, make sure you sign up at apprenticenation.co.uk. We've got new artists, new training, new entertainment coming your way. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, and we're really excited to share it with you. So get trained, get entertained, get trained, and go far. Thank you all so much. It's been a pleasure to spend our Friday night together, and have a lovely weekend, everyone. Maybe delete some apps. Lastly, before you get to deleting the apps, the reactionnaire, please click on the button that has just come up, complete the reactionnaire, and you will be in for a chance to win some Apprentice Nation merchandise, a hoodie, a t-shirt, or a mask, I believe. So there we go, we've got a few clicks already, thanks so much. And you'll be cozy in your hoodie in no time. Thank you, everyone, and thank you so much for the love in the chat and all round. Thank you to our panelists. Have a lovely weekend. Do something that makes you happy and notice it. And if it makes you happy, then do it some more. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.